Alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah, amma ba'd. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Inshallah, we're going to be continuing with a class that I started in East London in the summer. Study the 99 names of Allah Azza wa Jal. And inshallah ta'ala, if you've missed any of the previous lessons, you can catch up with them online. We've gone through the name Allah, Al-Ilah, we've gone through the name Ar-Rabb, Ar-Rahman and Ar-Rahim, all in 3 videos. Today inshallah ta'ala we're going to go through Allah Azza wa Jal's name Al-Malik, Al-Malik and Al-Malik. Al-Malik, Al-Malik and Al-Malik. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned the name Al-Malik, which means king. We'll talk about it more as we proceed. Allah mentioned his name Al-Malik, which means king, in 5 places in the Quran. From them Allah said, هو الله الذي لا إله إلا هو الملك القدوس. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala described himself as the one, there is none worthy to be worshipped in truth except for him, and he is Al-Malik, the king, Al-Quddus, the one who's pure, free from any defects. Another ayah Allah said, فَتَعَالَ اللَّهُ الْمَلِكُ الْحَقِّ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, exalted is Allah, and who is he? Al-Malik al-Haq. He is the king. He is the king. And Allah Azza wa Jalla then said, La ilaha illahu Rabbul Arshil Kareem. There is none worthy to be worshipped in truth except for him, and he is the one who is the Lord of the mighty throne. So Allah is the true king, Al-Malik al-Haq. Every other king that you see in the world is not a real king. Their kingship or their kingdom is not absolute. Only Allah has the complete kingdom, and we'll talk about that more as we proceed with Ibnillah. As for the name Al-Malik, Al-Malik, this emphasizes, or rather it increases on the meaning of Al-Malik. The way it's on the Arabic form of Fa'il, which it gives it more meaning. Okay? The way Rahim, it increases the meaning in terms of Allah's sifah of Rahmah. Al-Malik, it increases that. And Allah said that at the end of Surah Al-Qamar, where Allah Azza wa Jalla, He said, إِنَّ الْمُتَّقِينَ فِي جَنَّاتٍ وَنَهَرٍ فِي مَقْعَدِ صِدْقٍ عِنْدَ مَلِيكٍ مُقْتَدِرٍ. So what does it mean? What does it mean? These 3 names essentially come down to one characteristic of Allah. These 3 names, Al-Malik, which is the owner, Al-Malik, which is the king, and Al-Malik. These 3 names, they come back to one sifah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, one characteristic that He has, which is that Allah is the one who possesses mulk. Mulk means kingdom. Mulk means dominion. Dominion. Allah possesses everything. He owns it all. And because He owns it all, He is the owner. He's Al-Malik. Malik is what? He's the one who owns. He's the one who controls. He's the one who possesses. It's His belonging. Al-Malik is the king. Is the king. What's the difference between Malik and Malik? Malik is the one, like I said, who owns. Malik is the one who passes laws. The king does what? The king passes laws. The king is in control. The king judges. The king tells you what you should do, what you shouldn't do. Does that make sense? And they're linked, because obviously if there is a king who passes laws, what does he do? He owns the kingdom that is his. Allah is the only one that's a real king, and He's the only one who truly owns. So what you learn from this, my brothers and my sisters who are listening, is you learn here 3 things. There are 3 things. Once you know Allah's name, that He is the true king and the true owner, you straight away now are compelled to affirm 3 things for Allah Azza wa Jal. The first thing that you affirm for Him is this characteristic of His, that He owns everything. Now if Allah is the owner of everything, there are some other characteristics of Allah that are connected to the fact that He owns. Because if He has the ability to own the entire universes, and anything, and everything, and anyone, and everyone that exists inside of these universes, then that means, no doubt, He is what? He's Al-Qawi, which means He's the mighty one, the strong one. He has strength. For a king, even by our standards, needs to have strength, but the king in and within himself never has strength. He has strength through his numbers, his soldiers, his artillery, his weaponry that he has, right? وَلِلَّهِ الْمَثَلِ الْأَعْلَى. And Allah is not like these kings. Allah, He has strength. He overpowered and subjugated everyone beneath Him. And we took this when we talked about the story of Yusuf alayhi salam. We took the name Al-Qahar, which we briefly touched upon last Friday, that Allah, He made everyone and everything beneath Him. So He's Al-Qawi. He has the strength to do that. He has what? He has izzah. He has honor. Of course, the king, you honor him, you respect him, you revere him, you hold him high above everyone else, right? So if He's the king and He owns everyone, then straight away you know connected to that is not just strength, but what? He has honor as well. Not just al-qudra, He has ability. A king can't be a king if he can't do whatever it is that he wants in his kingdom, right? You say the king of this land or the king of that land, he has ability to do what? Arrest people, free people, give people money, take money away from them, tax them. He has ability to do what He wants. But Allah Azza wa Jal, He has complete ability. Allah said, وَلِلَّهِ مُلْكُ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ وَاللَّهُ عَلَى كُلِّ شَيْءٍ قَدِيرٌ. Allah, when He told you, look, to understand this is how you should read the Quran, this is how you reflect and ponder on the Quran. Allah said, وَلِلَّهِ مُلْكُ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ. To Allah belongs what? The mulk, the kingdom, the dominion of what? The heavens and the earth. How big is it, by the way? How big is one heaven? To show you how big Allah's kingdom is. To show you how vast Allah's kingdom is. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's kingdom, how big is it? The Prophet ﷺ said that this heaven, compared to the heaven that's above it, this heaven doesn't mean Jannah, by the way. People confuse heaven to be Jannah. Heaven means sama, sky. Al-Jannah is paradise. Okay? So this heaven, in relationship to the heaven above it, what did the Prophet ﷺ say? He said it's like a ring in a desert. If I was to take a ring and I threw it into the Sahara desert, would you be able to notice the ring with the naked eye? The ring would just get lost in the desert, would it not? That's how big the second heaven is compared to this heaven. This universe. When we look and we say in it are millions of galaxies. Brothers, sisters, the universe is so big that just this year, for the first time, they took a picture of a black hole. Why? Because they've been too far away to take a picture of. For the first time, they just took a picture of a black hole, and even then it's not clear, it's fuzzy. That's how big this kingdom is. This universe is. Like in the one that's above it, this universe is like a ring in a desert. And the Prophet ﷺ said, then the second to the third is like a ring in a desert. The third to the fourth is like a ring in a desert. Fourth to the fifth is like a ring in a desert. Sixth to the seventh is like a ring in a desert. And all of that. وَلِلَّهِ مُلْكُ السَّمَاوَاتِ. To Allah belongs the heavens. All seven of them. وَالْأَرْض. How big is the earth? How big is the earth? You know that they say the ocean is 73% of planet Earth. 73 approximately percent of planet Earth. And of the ocean they've only explored 5%. So the overwhelming majority of Earth has not even been explored. Every day, every week, every month they're finding new species that Allah owns, that Allah has known about them from before. Allah has known about them from way before. They just discover it. Oh, a new fish. Oh, a new fly. Oh, a new bee. A new snake. A new this, a new that. There's islands that human beings have not set foot on for a very long time. Some of us have not explored certain islands. We don't know what kind of stones are there, what kind of elements might be there. And even that, this is one earth, there's 7 earths. All of it belongs to Allah. And then when Allah told you, I own this, and it belongs to me, and it's my kingdom, what did Allah say? وَهُوَ عَلَى كُلِّ شَيْءٍ قَدِيرٌ. I have ability over all of it. I can do whatever I want. I can break it in half, I can put it together, I can multiply it, I can take them all away, I can bring new ones, I can do whatever I want. Al-Qudra. If He's Al-Malik, if He's the king, He has ability. What else does the king have? He has Al-Ilm, He has knowledge. Allah has knowledge of everything that was, that could have been, that should have been, that if it was to have been, how it might have been in all of its possible circumstances, how it might have played out. He knows it all. Al-Ilm. Al-Mashi'a, He has will. Whatever Allah wants will happen. Whatever Allah decrees will happen. The king, what? No one can argue with him. None of these kings are real. Allah is the real king. Whatever Allah wants will take place. No one can stop it. Ar-Rahma. Pay attention. To be a king, when you're a king, then your rahmah really shows. Look what Allah said. Al-mulku yawma idhin al-haqqu lir-Rahman wa kana yawman 'ala al-kafirin asira. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said that on that day, Allah said on that day, the mulk, the kingdom belongs to who? Ar-Rahman, the merciful one. Allah could have described Himself. When Allah is describing, that's such a mighty statement. Allah said, Al-mulku yawma idhin al-haqqu lir-Rahman. Allah said, on that day, the whole kingdom belongs to Allah. That's a big statement to make. But Allah, He described Himself as Ar-Rahman. He could have said, Al-Mulku yawma'idhin al-haqqu lil-aziz. Al-Mulku yawma'idhin al-haqqu lil-qahhar. Allah said, on that day, the kingdom belongs to the one who's supreme, above everyone else, the mighty one. But He said, on that day, the kingdom belongs to the one who is merciful. Why? Because there's no point you showing me mercy when you don't have strength over me. Right? Mercy shows, and it really stands out, if you have strength to destroy me, but you say, I'm going to forgive you. So then, Al-Mulk, truly, the fact that Allah is Al-Malik, the king, from that we truly understand how merciful He is. That if He's going to forgive you and me for our sins, except for kufr, right? Shirk specifically. If He's going to forgive us for this, inshallah, then He is the one that owned us. He had every single one of us by our follow. He could have destroyed us and thrown us into the hellfire. No one would have been able to question Him. No one would have been able to speak back to Him. But He said, I'm going to forgive you. So now the rahmah really shows. And what? Al-Hukum. The fact that Allah passes laws, that Allah legislates, that Allah Azza wa Jal, He passes judgment. So from this you learn that Allah is the only one who has the ability to legislate, to make laws. No one else can make laws besides Allah Azza wa Jal. Allah, He passes laws in terms, well, we'll learn about the three types of hukum that Allah Azza wa Jal passes shortly. But Allah is the one who passes laws. So, who do you vote for then? You don't, you just submit to Allah. Right? Even then I heard everyone's guide lost very badly. SubhanAllah. Anyway, that's the first thing that you affirm for Allah. When you affirm that Allah is Al-Malik, the first thing you affirm for Him is the characteristic of being a king and all of the characteristics that are connected to it. The second thing that you affirm for Him is that if He is the Malik and the king and the owner, Al-Malik, then what does that make me and you? Slaves. It makes us servants. The king has subjects that serve him, and we are the servants of Allah. We are the slaves of Allah, and Allah owns us. And because Allah Azza wa Jal owns us, look what He said. He said, Ya ayyuhan nas, antumul fuqara. Allah said, O mankind, O people, antumul fuqara'u ila Allah. You are all what? You are all in need of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Wallahu huwal ghaniyul hamid. Allah is not in need of me and you. He is not in need. He's too rich. Suffice. Why? We're slaves. Because we're slaves. Because we're low. Because He owns us. We need Him. Like a person's in prison. If he's in prison, or he's a slave, can he eat unless the master gives him food? Can he eat unless the master gives him food? Can he go to the toilet unless the master lets him go to the toilet? He can't. We need Allah to give us food. We need Allah to, we need Him for forgiveness, for mercy. We need Him for laws. We don't know how to live. We'll end up killing each other, stealing from each other, robbing each other, raping each other, insulting each other. We need Allah Azza wa Jal. He owns us. He subjugated us through what? His kingship. So then now we are in need. And look what Allah said. إِن يَشَأْ يُذْهِبَكُمْ وَيَأْتِ بِخَلْقٍ جَدِيدٍ. If Allah willed, He could have destroyed all of us. Take us all out. وَيَأْتِ بِخَلْقٍ جَدِيدٍ. And He could have brought a new creation. He doesn't need us. Allah's trying to say, you're not special to me. You don't think that you're slaves. That's all you are. Through Allah's mercy, He let us live. Through His mercy, He let us eat. Through His mercy, He let us drink. Through His mercy. Allah is saying, you're not important. You're not special. You can go at any time. Allah said, it's not hard for Allah to destroy you. And it's not hard for Allah to bring a new creation that will come and that will live besides you. Does that make sense? So then that tells you, be a good slave. Behave yourself. Pray on time. Fast when it's time to fast. You know, your eyesight that you look around, you look at women that you shouldn't look at. Allah owns your eyes. He owns your eyes. The same way He owns what? To show you Allah owns your eyes on the Day of Judgment. On the Day of Judgment, your mouth will be sealed and your body will speak. Your body will speak and it will testify, Allah, He did this with my hands. Allah, the hand will say, Allah, He touched women with me. The eyes will say, He looked at women with me. The feet will say, He walked haram with me. The ears will say, He listened to music with me. Your own body is a slave to Allah Azza wa Jal, but you take that which Allah gave you and you used it for what? You used it for disobedience to Allah Azza wa Jal. So know that Allah, He owns you. He controls you. You belong to Him. You're His property. You're a slave. So if you are a slave, then be a good slave. If you are a slave, then be what? Then be what? Then be a good slave. The slave needs Allah to provide for him, right? Allah said, وَكَأَيٍّ مِّن دَابَةٍ لَا تَحْمِلُ رِزْقَهَا اللَّهُ يَرْزُقُهَا وَإِيَّاكُمْ. Allah said, look at all of these creatures. They don't have the ability. How many creatures are they? They don't have the ability to give themselves a rizq. They can't eat themselves. They can't provide for themselves. Allah said, Allahu yarzuquha. Allah gives rizq to all these animals. Dabba means even flies and ants and all these creatures. All these millions of mosquitoes and beetles and everything. Allah said, what? He gives you rizq. Wa iyyakum. He gives you rizq as well. You don't have the ability to get it yourself. We don't have the ability to find rizq ourselves. We'd go what? Hungry, we'd starve. As soon as what happens? As soon as what? Money is low. Have you thought about it? Have you ever starved a day? No matter how poor you might have been. No matter how poor you might have been. Have you ever starved a day? No. What does that show you? The King is providing for you. You and me, days might come where if we were left to our own devices and Allah wasn't taking care of us, we might starve some days. Some days we might what? We might starve. We might live without shelter. Some days we might be in situations that we're not able to make it out. So much calamity might come. But what Allah Azza wa Jal, He is the one who's taking care of you. And you cannot escape Allah's kingdom. And that's why you're His slave. Because Allah said, وَتَبَارَكَ الَّذِي لَهُ مُلْكُ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ وَمَا بَيْنَهُمَا. Everything is Allah. Look what Allah said. Allah said the heavens and the earth, they're His kingdom and that which is between it. There's nowhere for you to run. Everything, the above, below, and that which is in between it, all of it belongs to Allah. So tell me, can you go to a place outside of Allah's kingdom? That's why Ibrahim ibn Adham used to say, when you want to do a sin next time, go outside of Allah's kingdom and do it. Don't be so disrespectful and so evil that you'll come to Allah's kingdom. You'll come to His kingdom. You'll come to the place that He owns. He let you live here and you will sin. You will swear. You come to my house or I go to your house. Will you tolerate me looking around, someone looking at your family members, swearing in your house, taking a what? Urinating on the floor? You wouldn't. But you live on Allah's earth and what do? We disrespect it, we violate, we walk around, we sin. You want to sin? No problem. Get out of Allah's kingdom. And if you can't get out of Allah's kingdom, then know you're enslaved in His kingdom. So behave yourself. Myself and you alike. So that's the second thing that you affirm when you hear Allah's name, Al-Mulk. Al-Malik. When you hear His characteristic, Dhu Mulk, the one who possesses kingdom. What is it? That you are a slave. The third thing that comes as an affirmation to this characteristic of Allah Azza wa Jal is that the decree of Allah is carried out. The decree of Allah. The King, whatever He decrees will be carried out, right? Allah said, وَاللَّهُ يَحْكُمُ لَا مُعَقِّبَ لِحُكْمِهِ. Allah, He judges whatever He wants and no one can push back Allah's judgment. No one can put it back. Allah said, فَلَا رَادَّ لِفَضْلِهِ. That if Allah wants, no one can push back a judgment of Allah, and if Allah wants to bring good, He wants to bring virtue and bounty to you, no one can repel that if it's coming your way. Allah does what He wants. And the judgment of Allah, and the hukum of Allah, and the law of Allah, and the decree of Allah is divided into three things. Three types of decree, all of which happen. There is what? The ahkam al-qadariyah. These are the ahkam of Allah that are based on His qudra, His decree, the qadar. Whenever Allah decrees, someone will die, it will happen. Someone will live, it will happen. He will get sick, it will happen. He will get better, it will happen. He will what? He will have riches, it will happen. He will go poor, it will happen. He will have food, it will happen. He will not have food, it will happen. He will get married, it will happen. He will get divorced, it will happen. What? He will have children, it will happen. His child will die, it will happen. His child will grow up. He won't live to see his child grow up, it will happen. Whatever Allah wants, it will happen. No one can repel that. That's ahkam al-qadariyah, number one. Number two, Ahkam al-Shar'iyya. Allah sends down legislation and judgment of how the religion should be. And no one has the right to argue with that. Allah told you about the Sharia. The Sharia is this way, which means you pray this way, you fast this way, you give zakat this way. Does that make sense? Pay attention to a very important point. What's the first thing Allah He legislated? At-Tawheed. That you enslave yourself to Him and you worship none besides Him. Subhanahu wa ta'ala. Subhanahu wa ta'ala. Jalla thana'uhu. Allah Azza wa Jal, He said, worship me alone, don't worship no one else besides me. That's the first thing He legislated. That's Allah's Sharia. How dare we not spend time studying this? The king who owns, who possesses, said, I want you to worship me alone. And then He said, فَعْلَمْ أَنَّهُ لَا إِلَهَ إِلَّا. Study it, seek knowledge of this, learn this. Learn what? Learn this law, learn this hukum shar'i that I've set down. And He's the king. Imagine we actually live in this earth and we don't want to study Tawheed, we don't want to study Aqidah, we don't want to learn about the Sharia of Allah Azza wa Jal. And He legislated and commanded that He do that. Not only that, He also legislated that you follow the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And not only that, He also legislated that you follow the Salaf al-Salih. He legislated you follow the Sahaba. He legislated you follow the Tabi'een, the Atba' Tabi'een. He legislated it subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Quran and the tongue of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And this is not a dars on manhaj, and you can find it. Go to Surah Tawbah, ayah number 100. Go look up the ahadith. خير الناس قلبي ثم الذين يلونهم, and so on and so forth. Allah legislated that you follow the Sahaba, the Salaf al-Salih. And Allah will not be pleased with you unless you do these things. And this is the Sharia of Allah Azza wa Jal. And in that you learn Salah, Zakat, fasting, what? Nikah, Buyu, and the rest of it. The third type of decree of Allah Azza wa Jal is Ahkamul Jaza'i. Rewards and punishments. Allah chooses, this is a hukum of Allah, He will get rewarded. He will get punished. He will get punished and He will get rewarded. She will get rewarded and she will get punished. There are rewards and punishments in this life. There are rewards and punishment in the next life. Ya ikhwatul kiram, my noble brothers and my sisters who are listening, I want you to listen to something. Because Allah is the King, He made a law in this world when you sin. Because He's the King, and if you've understood thus far that He's the King, He made a law. He made a hukum in this life. Do you know what it is? About sins and punishments of sins. He said, every time you do a sin, you will find a punishment for in this life. Every time you do a wrong thing, you will find pain in this life. You will find pain. Remember this. ظهر الفساد في البر والبحر بما كسبت أيدي الناس. Allah said corruption spread in the land and the sea. Why? Because of the evil the people done with their own hands. Allah said, ما أصابك من سيئة فمن نفسك. Any bad that happens in your life, it happened because what? Because of yourself. What you did. You did something. Of course, if you make tawbah and you repent, no problem. If you make tawbah and you repent, no problem. But when you do sins, there is an effect. The same way, gravity, my phone, what if I let go of it, what happens? It falls to the ground. The King made that law. The King made that law. That's ahkamul qadari. That's the law. The King made that law. Allah. The same way He made a law, which is what? Ahkamul Jaza'i. That when I do a sin, I will now find pain. I will now find suffering. I will now find difficulty. But then we persist and insist on sinning. Sometimes, a person feels, a person doesn't do a sin, and they feel like a sadness in their heart, like a depression, like a emptiness in their heart. Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah said, they came to Sa'id ibn Musayyib, they asked him, what is this? He said, it's a sin that you thought about doing, but you didn't do it. But the fact that you thought about it, it had an effect, it left sadness in your heart. Some of us are people who are always feeling depressed, always feeling sad, always feeling, always never happy. You got food, you got drink, you got clothes, you got what? A job, work, but Iman, you have Iman. But you're still upset in life. Because you know why? You're constantly thinking, sin, should I do it? Should I not? Should I? Just let it go. And then you start to feel the sweetness of Iman. So this is just the introduction. The fact that you know Allah's name is Al-Malik, Al-Malik, the owner, the King, Al-Malik. You affirm these three things that summarize. Number one, the first thing you affirm for Him is His characteristic, which is what? That He owns the kingdom, and from it those other characteristics came. al-qudra, al-izza, al-ilm, al-mashi'a, and so on and so forth. The second thing you learn is that if he is the king, and you affirm that for him, then affirm that you and me are slaves. So act like a slave. And the third thing is that what? If you affirm he's the king, his decree, his hukum, his law, his judgment is carried out. And his judgment is three types. Qadari, which is whatever Allah decrees, what will happen, what will not happen. Shar'i, which is with regards to the religion, what is right, what is wrong. And what? Jaza'i, who will be punished and who will be rewarded. And who will be forgiven and who will be not forgiven. Now if you've understood this, now remember, brothers, sisters, that all of the other kings will perish and only Allah, who is the one true king, will remain. Allah said, يَوْمَ هُمْ بَارِزُونَ, on the day everyone will come out. لَا يَخْفَى عَلَى اللَّهِ مِنْهُمْ شَيْءٍ, nothing will be hidden from Allah. Everyone will be out in apparent. Everyone's going to get exposed that day. Nothing will be hidden from Allah. Allah said, لِمَنِ الْمُلْكُ الْيَوْمِ, who does the kingdom belong today? لِلَّهِ الْوَاحِدِ Al-Qahar. It belongs to Allah, the one, Al-Qahar, the one who is above everyone and made everyone below him, the supreme who is above everyone and subjugated every single person below him. So how can it be that we have people who, what? They are acting, how are they acting? They are acting tough. They are acting bad. They're acting like what? That they've got some power, some authority. And don't think I'm just talking about people on the streets here. If you're a father, remember you've got children. You think you own them? No, you don't. Be careful how you treat them. You're a husband. You're a husband. You have a wife? Be careful how you treat her. You're a mother. You have a husband. You have a house. You have kids. Be careful. This house that you have. A woman, you know, they say, Rabbatu Bayt. In Arabic, Rabbatu Bayt, the Lord of the house is what? Is the woman. They say the woman is the Lord, the Lordess. Sorry, the Baroness they call it, huh? The Baroness of the house is what? The woman. The woman says, "This is my house." So she brings in television, so the kids can be corrupted. I was speaking to a brother, Salafi brother, good brother, Allah Malik, suffers from pornography addiction. Beard, everything, Allah Malik, suffers from pornography addiction. It's so bad, it's just addicted to it. He goes on to what Skype calls and pays women to do shows for what he has. Suffers. I said, how did it start? He told me his story. He said, I was 6 years old. I was watching TV on a channel. I fell asleep at like 9, 10. I woke up at like 2, 3 a.m. in the morning. And you know that late night stuff, that filth that comes on? It was one of those channels. But in the morning it's one way, at night it's another. He said, I woke up and suddenly I see this filth. And ever since that day, at the age of 6, it just took over him. And parents want to show kids these TV shows and these music videos and filth and filth. Wallahi, the woman, be careful what you bring into the house. Be careful. It's your house, you own it. You are not an owner, you are a caretaker. Allah made you a khalifa of the house. He made you khalifa of your family, a caretaker, a steward of your family. Like the khalifa of the Prophet ﷺ is what? Abu Bakr, right? So Abu Bakr, was he the messenger? Is this his ummah? No, he's the Khalifa of the Prophet ﷺ. He's taking care of the ummah on behalf of the Prophet ﷺ. When Allah said, what? That I made what? Adam, what? I'm going to create a Khalifa on the earth. I'm going to make a custodian on the earth to take care of the earth. What word did he use? He said Khalifa. So we are khulafa. We're placed in as caretakers, as substitutes, in charge of our houses, our families, or our companies. You own a business, you own a company, you work, you're a manager, you're not a king, you don't really own it. You've just been placed in charge. Money that you have, you don't own the money, it's not yours. Allah gave it to you to see how you'll function here. Does that make sense? And don't be like Pharaoh. When Allah Azza wa Jal, He described him. What did he do? Pharaoh was given a nation as a caretaker. He thought he was a real king. He thought he was Malik al-Haqiqi. He thought he was a real king. And not only that, then he started to believe that he was God. Look what he said to the people. وَنَادَى فِرْعَوْنُ فِي قَوْمِهِ. He called out into his people. And he said, قال, what did he say? يَا قَوْمِ, O my people, أَلَيْسَ لِي مُلْكُ مِصْرَ. Is this kingdom of Egypt, does it not belong to me? Do I not own it? وَهَذِهِ الْأَنْهَارُ تَجْرِي مِنْ تَحْتِي. And these rivers, they flow underneath my feet. He's trying to say, I own Egypt. I own these rivers. They belong to me. أَفَلَا تُبْصِرُونَ. Do you not then see? He's trying to say, look, I am the God, I am the king. فحشر فنادى. He called his people. He called out to them. فقال, what did he say? أنا ربكم الأعلى. I am your Lord Most High. What did Allah do to him? What did Allah do to him? How did Allah deal with one who tested and questioned Allah's authority? Allah destroyed him and all of his army. He drowned them. They're finished. And then Allah took Pharaoh out as a sign. He's hung up in the Museum of Cairo. Today people from the whole world go and travel to see him, to see how Allah deals with a person who misuses the authority that Allah gave. Remember, you are not a Malik, ya ikhwatul kiram. You are not an owner. You and I are caretakers. We are just caretakers. Like, you know, in government, when there's no prime minister, they say what? It's a caretaker government. It's the government there to take care. Caretakers what? Flip it. To take care. That's what you're here for. Does that make sense? We are here to take care. And when you don't, and you actually believe you own, and then you oppress, you'll be destroyed. Why? Because Allah is the only true king, the irresistible, who will remain. Now pay attention. There's a common theme in the Quran. I want to move on to another point, which is that if Allah is really the king, then you should worship Him alone and not worship anyone else besides Him. You should not worship anyone else besides Allah. And this is a theme within the book of Allah Azza wa Jal. That Allah, He mentions His mulk. He mentions His kingdom. He tells you, I am the king. And what does He mention right after that? Worship me alone. See the connection, brothers. When you read the Quran, it's not just random. When Allah says, لِلَّهِ مُلْكُ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ وَذَلِكُمُ اللَّهُ رَبُّكُمْ لَهُ الْمُلْكُ. That is your Lord. To Him belongs the kingdom. And then right after He says, لَا إِلَهَ إِلَّا هُ. Worship me alone. It's not random. Well, He just mentioned to you, I'm your Lord, I'm the king, so worship. No, He's trying to build a case. ذَلِكُمْ. What? ذَلِكُمُ اللَّهُ. That is Allah. Who is Allah? Allah is the one that deserves to be worshipped. So Allah made a claim, I deserve to be worshipped. If my name is Allah, I deserve to be worshipped, Allah is saying. So then what He builds up? He builds the argument. Rabbukum. He says, I'm your Lord. What is the Lord? What does the Lord do? The Lord does three things. He creates, He provides, and what does He do? He controls. Did anyone create you other than Allah? Does anyone provide for you other than Allah? Does anyone control your affairs other than Allah? No. Okay, Rabbukum. Okay, you created me. Good. Lahul mulk. Allah said, not only did I create you, I'm the king of everything. I own everything. And I created all of them. And then right after He builds that case and He tells you who He is and what He done, He says, La ilaha illahu. There is no one that deserves to be worshipped except for Him. فَأَنَّا تُصْرَفُونَ. So why do you keep turning away to these other false gods? Why do people worship the graves and worship the saints and worship the prophets, the angels, the rocks, the stones? Why do they go to horoscopes and worship the stars? Why do people worship their girlfriends? Why does she worship her boyfriend? Everything he says, she does. Everything she does, he says. What is wrong with people? Why is it that your boss is your king? Why do you worship your boss? You're scared to say, I want to go play Jum'ah. You're scared to say, it's time for Salah. You're scared to say, what? I need a day off for Eid. Why? Yes, you worship your professors. Wherever the professor says goes. No, I can't argue. I can't tell him it's Ramadan. I can't tell him what? I can't come to lecture. Brothers, sisters, Allah is the one that you worship. Ibadah, uluhiyah is for Him subhanahu wa ta'ala alone. Allah said another ayah, فَتَعَالَ اللَّهُ الْمَلِكُ الْحَقِّ. Allah is what? He is the exalted. He's the high. Al-Malik al-Haq, the true king. La ilaha illahu. Again, He told you. Then if that's the case, if He's the king, worship no one else besides Him. Pay attention. You're going to learn some da'wah techniques here. The Quran is the best thing to give da'wah with. As some of you saw, when we done the story of Yusuf alayhi salam, we took the da'wah techniques that Yusuf alayhi salam gave in the prison. I'm going to teach you another one. Anytime you speak to a Christian, anytime you speak to anyone who worships someone else besides Allah Azza wa Jal, even a Sufi who worships what? Graves or the Prophet ﷺ or whoever, use this ayah. 7 things that Allah mentioned that only the true king can do. And if they affirm that whatever they worship cannot do these 7 things, then that thing is false. It's fake. It's fake. It's not a real God. And it's not a real king. Sorry, let me start again. 7 things that only the real king can do. 7 things that only the real king can do. If they can't do these 7 things, then they are not a real king. They're not medical muluk. They're not the king of kings. They are not the king of kings. And if they're not the king of kings, they don't deserve worship. Because that's the argument Allah made. ذَلِكُمُ اللَّهُ, that is Allah, رَبُّكُمْ, your Lord, لَهُ الْمُلْكُ, He has the kingdom, He is the king. La ilaha illahu. So worship Him alone. And that's, everyone will agree. I should work, because what? If I'm going to worship you, what am I doing? I'm making myself low. I'm belittling myself. Why am I going to belittle myself to someone else who's just like me? You might be higher than me. Isa might be higher than me. Jesus might be higher than me. But is he low to someone else? He's low to Allah. Huh? So then, why am I going to bow down and worship someone who's low just like me? He might be higher than me, but he's low to someone else. And the point is, he's low. I'm going to worship the one who can never be low. That's Allah. That's Allah. So if I can prove to you that this, your, like Jesus, or your saint that you worship, or your idol that you worship, it cannot do these 7 things, that means these 7 things are done to it. If Jesus can't do these 7 things, then these 7 things were done, or will be done, or have been done to Jesus, or to the Prophet ﷺ. Be done to him, or will be done to him. And if they're going to be done to him, then who is doing it? The one who's the king, the one who's above them. And if I can prove that, then who else am I going to worship except for that one king? Why am I going to waste time worshipping anyone else besides? Look what Allah says, Surah Al-Furqan. وَاتَّخَذُوا مِن دُونِهِ آلِهَةً لَا يَخْلُقُونَ شَيْئًا وَهُمْ يُخْلَقُونَ وَلَا يَمْلِكُونَ لِأَنفُسِهِمْ ضَرًّا وَلَا نَفْعًا وَلَا يَمْلِكُونَ مَوْتًا وَلَا حَيَاةً وَلَا نُشُورًا. 7 things. Number 1, that they cannot create. Allah said they're taking things as gods. They don't have the ability to create. Number 2, they were created themselves. So can Jesus create? Did Jesus create me? Did Jesus create Adam? They will say no. Were you created by Jesus? No. Was Jesus himself created? Yes. He was in the womb of Mary, right? He's in the womb of Mary, so he was created, right? Number 3, they have no ability to harm, to uplift harm from themselves. They can't uplift harm from themselves. Could Jesus stop the people from killing him when he's on the cross? No, they have the ability to what? To bring good to themselves. Could Jesus bring good when he was on the cross? Could he do that? I mean, in the Bible it mentions that Jesus was tempted by the devil. Oh, how can God be tempted by the devil? Number 5, they don't own death. They don't own death. They can't stop someone from dying. Or they don't give life. But they say, oh, but Jesus brought the dead back from the life. What did Allah say? Bi-idhnillah. It was the permission of Allah. It wasn't the permission of Jesus. Allah did it, and Allah did it through Jesus. But Jesus didn't have the ability to do it on his own. Wala nushura. And they can't resurrect. They can't resurrect. They will themselves be resurrected. Anytime you speak to a person, argue these 7 points, if they're missing even one, and of course they're missing all, but if you can establish even one, then he's not God. So he doesn't deserve to be worshipped. Nothing besides Allah has power in any way, shape or form. Not even a slight bit of power. So why spend your time investing in them through worship? Some of you invest in things besides Allah. You don't worship them. You might not be doing shirk, but you're investing in them, believing that they can do for you that Allah can't. For example, when it comes to work, you do a haram job. You stack money and become stingy with it. You won't give sadaqah because you believe that you provide for yourself. You believe that you provide for yourself. Does that make sense? But you have to understand, you don't have no power. That pound has no power. Your savings have no power. You want to get married, so you find a woman in a haram way. So what do? You speak to her because you say, how am I going to find someone in a halal way? So you believe you have power to find a woman. She believes she actually has power and ability to find a man. Like, Allah, you don't have no power, ya ikhwa. You have no power. Some of us, we beg human beings, we ask human beings that they have strength. No, they don't. They don't have any ability. Look what Allah said. قُلِ ادْعُوا الَّذِينَ زَعَمْتُم مِّن دُونِهِ فَلَا يَمْلِكُونَ كَشْفَ الضُّرِّ عَنْكُمْ وَلَا تَحْوِيلًا. Allah said, these other things that you're calling upon, you're relying upon these other things other than Allah, they don't have the ability to remove harm from you. Not only can they not remove the harm, they can't take it and direct it to someone else other than you. You think that, look how deep Allah goes to show you they have no ability. Allah said, ذَلِكُمُ اللَّهُ رَبُّكُمْ لَهُ الْمُلْكُ وَالَّذِينَ تَدْعُونَ مِن دُونِهِ مَا يَمْلِكُونَ مِن قِطْمِيرٍ. What's qitmir? In Ramadan when we have dates, and you open the date, what's inside of a date? Seed. Have you noticed on the seed there's a slight bit of skin? You guys seen that? Some of you really hungry, then you just suck that. I know you suck that skin off. You keep it in your mouth. You suck that skin right off, right? You know that thin layer is called the membrane of the date seed. Allah said these things that you call upon other than Allah, they don't even own, they don't even control that much. Like that's so thin. It's like thinner than a millimeter. You know that tiny thin. You don't know what I'm talking about, right? That tiny date seed, like the little skin it has. Allah said, لا يملكون من قطمير. They don't even own that much. You think that's small? Look, Allah goes even deeper. Allah said, قُلِ ادْعُوا الَّذِينَ زَعَمْتُم مِّن دُونِ اللَّهِ لَا يَمْلِكُونَ مِثْقَالَ ذَرَّةٍ فِي السَّمَاوَاتِ وَلَا فِي الْأَرْضِ. Allah said, the things that you're calling upon besides Allah, these things that you rely upon besides Allah, they don't even own one atom in the heavens or the earth. Not even an atom. Atom is smaller than that, right? Can it get smaller than an atom? Allah said, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَمَا لَهُمْ فِيهِمَا مِنْ شِرْكٍ. There's one thing which is to own an atom. But what about sharing an atom? Allah said they don't even share an atom. No one even shares one atom with Allah. It's just Allah, brothers. Allah is the one who's in control. Allah is the one who's in charge. So that if you really believe that, and inshallah we will all say we believe that, right? Why would you worship anyone else besides Him? Why would you ask anyone besides Him? Why would you rely on anyone besides Him? Why do you rely on people? Why do you rely on human beings? Why do you beg human beings? They are not kings. They are not queens. Only Allah is the king. Only Allah is the one who's in control. And this is why do you look for a little vote? Think, oh, Labour's going to come. Jeremy Corbyn's going to save my life. Why do you do this? Allah is the one who's in charge. This is why Allah taught the Prophet to say, Allah said, Qul, say Muhammad, say what? Allahumma Malik al-Mulk. Oh Allah, you are what? Malik al-Mulk. You're the owner of the kingdom. تنزع الملك ممن تشاء. You give the kingdom to whom you will. وتنزع الملك ممن تشاء. You take away from whom you will. وتعز من تشاء وتذل من تشاء. You honor whom you will and you humiliate and belittle who you will. بيدك الخير. In your hands is all good. وهو على كل شيء قدير. No, إنك على كل شيء قدير. And Allah, you have ability over every single little thing. Allah, you're in charge. And if you believe that, then what do you do? What do? You make dua to Him, right? And you don't make dua to anyone else besides Him. You don't make dua to anyone else besides Him. You beg Him. You call upon Him. You ask, you say, Allah, give me more. You're the king. So if you're the king and you own everything, only you can give. And listen, Allah's kingdom is so big that Allah can give, and His kingdom will not get decreased. Look what Allah said, لَوْ أَنَّ أَوَّلَكُمْ وَآخِرَكُمْ وَإِنسَكُمْ وَجِنَّكُمْ. Allah said, if the first of you, the last of you, the human of you, and the jinn of you, قاموا في صعيد واحد فسألوني فأعطيت كل إنسان مسألته ما نقص ذلك مما ملكي إلا كما ينقص المخيط إذا أدخل البحر. Allah said, if the first of you, the last of you, the human of you, the jinn of you were to all come together and stand in one place and ask Allah, everyone on earth, all humans, all jinn were to ask Allah, and Allah said, فَأَعْطَيْتُ كُلَّ إِنسَانٍ, and I gave to every single one of you whatever it is that you asked. Allah said, it would not even decrease from my kingdom. The way when you take a what? When you take what? A needle, and you place it in the ocean, you take it out. Does the needle decrease anything from the ocean? Nothing. Nothing is decreased from Allah's kingdom. Nothing is decreased from Allah's kingdom. So ask Him. You know, Allah's kingdom, wallahi, if you ponder over it, it's powerful. If a king in this life, or a person who's rich in this life, if he was to give you something, what happens? His kingdom decreases, right? When Allah gives you, His kingdom doesn't decrease. His kingdom doesn't decrease. If Allah gave you 10 sons, if Allah gave you one son, He gave you something from His kingdom, right? Allah gives you 10 sons, nothing decreased from Allah's kingdom, rather 10 more slaves came into Allah's kingdom. 10 more slaves just came into Allah's kingdom. So rather, every time you ask Allah for more, know His kingdom is more. Every time Allah gives you more, know that His kingdom is more. And every single day, Allah is being asked. كُلَّ يَوْمٍ هُوَ فِي شَأْنٍ. Every single day, Allah said in the Quran that Allah Azza wa Jal, He's being asked. What is He being asked? What are they asking Him? The Prophet said in the Musnad of Imam Ahmad, the hadith is there, He's forgiving people, He's removing calamities, He's honouring some people, He's lifting them up, and other people He's putting low. كُلَّ يَوْمٍ هُوَ فِي شَأْنٍ. Every day, Allah is what? He's in an affair. He's doing something every day. He's doing something, subhanahu wa ta'ala. Brothers, sisters, not only do you ask Allah, you obey Him alone. If you know He's the real King, not only do you ask Him alone, you obey Him alone. If He is the supreme King and no one else has authority above Him, then His command should not be placed above anyone else's command. Not your mum, not your father. Sometimes your parents will tell you what? Cut your beard. Sometimes your parents will tell the sisters, don't wear the jilbab. Don't wear it. Don't cover yourself like this. They'll tell you what? Wear makeup. What are you doing? When your wedding time comes, they'll tell you music has to be played. Don't. I don't care if it's your mum. Don't care if it's your dad. Don't care. They are not Allah. Only authority they have is because Allah gave it to them. They are caretakers. If they're not taking care, if they're caretakers, if they're not taking care, between them and Allah. But you respectfully decline and disobey. Respectfully. Because you still have to be good to them. But no one's command comes before Allah. Not your work, not your kids. Some of us, we place our kids before Allah. What? We come to class, learn about Allah. They say, no, family, I'm busy with family, I'm busy with work. This is exactly what the hypocrite said. Allah said to the Prophet ﷺ, سيقول لك المخلفون من الأعراب. The Bedouins who didn't go in the battle and they made an excuse, they'll come to the Prophet ﷺ and Allah said they will come to you. What do they say? They will say سيقول لك المخلفون من الأعراب سيقول لك المخلفون من الأعراب. What's the ayah? What's the ayah? سيقول لك المخلفون من الأعراب سيقول لك المخلفون من الأعراب شغلتنا أموالنا وأهلنا فاستغفر لنا. They will say we became busy with what? Wealth, work and family. فاستغفر لنا. Seek forgiveness from us. And then Allah tells you after that, they're saying with their mouth that which is not really in their heart. They say with their tongues that they won't really believe in their heart. Meaning if family and work was an excuse, they would have still not turned up. Hypocrisy. And where are the hypocrites? في الدرك الأسفل من النار, in the lowest part of the hellfire. So then ask yourself, are you being genuine? Why can't you come? Why can't you learn about Allah? This is important. This is important stuff to know. If He is the King, follow and obey His command. Another point here to mention, inshallah ta'ala, is that if Allah is the true King, then don't give yourself names that compete with Allah Azza wa Jal in His greatness. Okay? For example, a hadith in Bukhari and Muslim, but the Prophet ﷺ said, أخنع الأسماء عند الله, that the filthiest name or names to Allah is what? رجل تسمى بملك الأملاك, a man who calls himself the King of Kings. A man who calls himself the King of Kings. Ibn Hajar rahimahullah said this hadith shows the impermissibility of calling yourself the King of Kings, and also not just the King of Kings, any name that's connected to that. And then Sufyan al-Thawri rahimahullah ta'ala, he mentioned an example. He said people, they call themselves Shahan Shah, which is a Persian term which means King of Kings. And Asians, because we speak Urdu, and Urdu has a lot of influence from Persian, they say Shan Shah. Who's heard this before? Shan Shah means King of Kings. And they'll say it like a father will say to his son, Shan Shah, like my son. He's trying to praise the son and show him love. They do it out of showing love. But this is a name that's filthy. King of Kings, it means Shahan Shah. Shah, like the King of Kings. His name is only for Allah. And sometimes you hear the names that Qadi al-Qudat, the judge of all judges. His name is only for Allah. They used to call the judges back in the days Qadi al-Qudat, the head judge. No, Qadi al-Qudat is Allah. And other names, like for you to say, I'm the best of the best. He's the best of the best. What do you mean best of the best? Allah is the best of the best. They say, I'm the greatest. I'm the greatest. Muhammad Ali said, I know why Allah gave me this sickness. To show me that I'm not the greatest. Because he used to always say, I'm the greatest. May Allah have mercy on him, forgive him his sins. It's past it. May Allah have mercy on him, forgive him his sins. But like there's a lesson in this. He used to call himself the greatest. And he said, Allah showed me a lesson. He gave me this disease to show me I am not the greatest. Sahah? I meant to say sarahatan, and I said sahah. Sarahatan, that Allah Azza wa Jalla, when He gave him the sickness, look, from being the one who's knocking people out, knocking out George Foreman, to not being able to pick up a cup. May Allah have mercy and forgive him. Not trying to talk bad about the man who's passed away, but to show you how Allah flipped it on him. So don't come with these names, I'm the best, I'm the biggest, I'm the baddest, I'm the strongest. Who runs the block? No, don't come with this stuff. Don't come with these things. Allah is the one who is in charge. Finally, Allah is the only King on the Day of Judgment, and all of us will be coming back to Him, and He is the one that we will respond to when we're spoken to, and we will not respond unless we are given permission to speak. And He is the one that we have to prepare to stand in front of. Always, when you want to talk about standing in front of the King, you do make sure you clean up nice, put perfume. And if I told you we're going to stand in front of the King, make sure you look good, right? They're not even real kings. The real King is Allah. So prepare to, when you stand before Him, you want to look nice. How will you look nice? By doing your good deeds. Do your good deeds. Look how Allah describes the Day of Judgment. يَوْمَ هُمْ بَارِزُونَ. The day when everything will be what? Will come out. All of the people, they will come out. لَا يَخْفَى عَلَى اللَّهِ مِنْهُمْ شَيْءٍ. Nothing will be hidden from Allah Azza wa Jal. And then Allah said, لِمَنِ الْمُلْكُ الْيَوْمِ. Who is the one who owns the kingdom today? لِلَّهِ الْوَاحِدِ الْقَهَارِ. It belongs to Allah, the one, the irresistible. Look at the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ. The Prophet said, يَقْبِضُ اللَّهُ الْأَرْضَ يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ. Allah Azza wa Jal will hold the earth. He will hold the earth. He will grab it on the Day of Judgment. The Prophet said, وَيَطَوُ السَّمَاءَ بِيَمِينِهِ. And Allah will grab the heavens. He will grab what will He do? He will roll up the heavens in His right. ثُمَّ يَقُولُ أَنَا الْمَلِكُ أَيْنَ الْمُلُوكُ. Allah will say, I am the king. Where are the rest of these kings? أَيْنَ الْمُلُوكُ الْأَرْضِ. Where are the kings of this earth? In another narration, Allah will say, أَنَا الْمَلِكُ. I am the king. أَيْنَ الْجَبَّارُونَ. Where are the ones that were tyrants? أَيْنَ الْمُتَكَبِّرُونَ. Where are the ones who were arrogant? And what will happen? No one will speak. Allah said, وَخَشَعَتِ الْأَصْوَاتُ لِلرَّحْمَنِ. All of the voices will become humble. Everyone will be quiet towards Ar-Rahman. Again, such a scary day, but He described Himself as Ar-Rahman to show you there's hope. And then He said, فَلَا تَسْمَعُ إِلَّا هَمْسًا. You will hear nothing. No one will speak. No king will respond and say, I'm here, Ya Allah. I'm the king of sons. No one will speak. Only thing you will hear is the quiet footsteps. Where they're marching towards Allah. Towards Allah. And then Allah will judge Jannah, Jahannam. So prepare for your standing before your King. Subhanaka Allahumma wa bihamdika ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk.
Yo,
what's going on, bro?
yeah, I got the thing.
What? How much is in there?
20 mil.
You being serious?
Yeah, hold that. It's yours now.
You guys are probably wondering how this dusty looking camera, it's worth 20 mil. Let me break it down for you. About 6 years ago, some brothers and sisters gave us about £600 in order for us to purchase this camera to make da'wah videos. 6 years later, alhamdulillah, we made well over 1,000 videos and we reached over 20 million plus views on YouTube alone without taking into account all the other social media platforms that we're on. So those people at the time when they gave that money, I don't think they had any idea that that £600 that they gave was gonna go towards a camera that would reach 20 million people who watch videos and they changed their lives after having watched them, who watched these videos and started praying, who watched these videos and accepted Islam. Can you imagine if they were sincere, the kind of reward that they're gonna get on the day of judgment, inshallah ta'ala? But now here's the issue. This camera is 6 years old. I mean, there's cracks in it, it's breaking, it's well past its sell-by date. We're trying to take things up to the next level. In order to do that, we need a new camera. In fact, we need more than one. We need more equipment. We need to actually hire a bigger media team. But all of this stuff, it comes with expenses, it comes with costs. And over the next 6 years, inshallah ta'ala, we're looking to reach well over 20 million people. Now look, I'm gonna be direct with you. I'm about to ask you for some money to put towards the da'wah for the sake of Allah. But before I do that, I wanna tell you some figures, some statistics to show you the kind of reward that you might be looking at, inshallah, if you come with sincerity and the donation. Just take a look at the kind of numbers we have over the last 90 days. Over the last 90 days, we received over 1.4 million views on our YouTube channel alone. That's 466,000 views every 30 days. That's 15,555 views per day. That's right. You could be in your sleep, sleeping 6, 7, 8 hours a day, however much you sleep, and you're just earning a reward, inshallah ta'ala. Why? Because you gave a bit of money that went towards a very big project. Now, with that 15,000 odd views a day, if you average that out across 6 years, which is the lifespan of this camera, do you know how much reward that is, inshallah? That's 34,065,450 views. I don't know about you, but that kind of reward, I need that in my life. This is not the kind of opportunity that we should be passing up, especially if you've got sins. The Prophet ﷺ said that giving charity wipes away sins the way that water, it extinguishes fire. So look, say no more, inshallah ta'ala. I don't feel like I should have to convince you towards giving to a project like this anymore. If you want that kind of reward, you want the da'wah to spread, you want la ilaha illallah to spread across the internet, inshallah ta'ala, then you want to give at the link below to this project. Assalamu alaikum. Peace. Remember, 20 mil, yeah? And that's on YouTube alone.